You will step aside, sir, or I will make one call, and this entire airport will know who he is. The young nurse did not raise her voice, but the power in it made the hospital CEO freeze where he stood. You will step aside, sir, or I will make one call, and this entire airport will know who he is. The words cut through the crowded terminal like a blade wrapped in silk. The hospital CEO stopped mid-step. His polished shoes gleamed under the bright lights. His jaw tightened. Around him, travelers slowed, was drawn in by the tension pressing into the air. In front of him stood a man with one-armed commander. Isaiah Cole carried his duffel bag with quiet control. His broad shoulders were straight, his expression calm. The sleeve of his jacket was neatly pinned where his left arm had once been. Faint scars climbed from his collar, toward his neck, pale lines against deep brown skin. He did not argue, did not defend himself. He simply waited. The dispute had begun over something small. Priority boarding, extra leg space, request for a seat that would not strain the metal rods fused along his spine. The CEO had dismissed him in a sharp, public tone. Rules are rules, no special treatment. The words had carried more edge than needed. The nurse had watched from a few steps away. Her name was Nia Reynolds, 25 years old, rookie nurse at St. Matthew's Medical Center. Her badge hung fresh and new against navy scrubs. Her braids were pulled back neatly, framing eyes that noticed everything. She had seen the commander's hand tremble slightly when he adjusted his bag. She had seen the tightness behind his steady stare. And she had seen something else. The hospital logo stitched on the CEO's lapel. Her hospital, the same hospital that ran fundraisers for veterans, the same hospital that posted smiling photos. With flags on national holidays, her heart began to beat harder. But her voice remained steady. You will step aside. Sir, the terminal grew quiet enough to feel. Isaiah did not turn toward her fully. But he noticed her. He noticed the way she brushed 2 fingers across the silver pin on her badge. A small caduceus wrapped in a ribbon. It was not random. It was a signal. Years ago in a military hospital overseas, that small touch had meant one thing. You are not alone. Isaiah's breathing shifted, slower, grounded. Nye knew the sign because of her father. She had grown up in a small house near Fort Bragg. The air often smelled of cut, grass, and warm asphalt. Her childhood memories were filled with folded uniforms and early morning goodbyes. Her father, Staff Sergeant Marcus Reynolds, had been a combat medic. He taught her how to clean a wound before she could drive a car. He taught her that fear is loud, but courage is quiet. When she was 14, did not come home. An armored vehicle had struck an explosive device during a rescue mission. He had shielded 2 younger soldiers with his own body, Nia remembered. The day officers stood at her door, the way the sun felt too bright, the way her mother's hand went cold in hers. She remembered the folded flag placed into her trembling arms, and she remembered the words of her father long before that day. Respect is not given to rank. It is given to sacrifice. That sentence had shaped her life. She studied nursing not for status, but because she understood what it meant to stand between pain and hope. She had held the hands of elderly veterans in sterile rooms that smelled of antiseptic and fading strength. She had listened to stories no one else wanted to hear, so when she saw Isaiah being dismissed like an inconvenience, something in her chest burned steady and clear. The CEO tried to regain control of the moment. He spoke about policies, about fairness, about treating all passengers the same. His voice was confident, practiced, but it lacked heart. Isaiah remained silent. Inside his mind, memories moved like shadows. Desert heat pressing against his skin. It's the metallic scent of smoke after an explosion. The weight of a teammate draped over his shoulder as he ran through chaos. He had lost his arm during a classified rescue mission. His team had been trapped. After a building collapse overseas, he had gone back in after the first blast. It carried 2 men out before the second blast took his arm and left him, buried under debris. He had woken in military hospital days. Later, to the hum of machines and the smell of clean sheets, 3 of his men survived, because he refused to leave. He never spoke of it in public. He never asked for applause. All he requested now was a seat that would not cause the metal in his spine to ache for hours. The bystanders watched. Some looked away. Some whispered. No one stepped forward. Public silence could feel heavier than open cruelty. Nia felt it pressing around her like thick air. She stepped closer, her shoes soft against the polished floor. He served 20 years, she said calmly. The least we can offer is dignity. The CEO's eyes narrowed. This does not concern you. It concerns anyone who understands respect, she replied. Her voice did not rise. It did not shake. The calm in her tone unsettled him. More than anger would have. He recognized the hospital logo on her badge. You work for St. Matthew's? Yes. Yes. He straightened slightly, unaware that the ground beneath him was already shifting. What? He did not know was that St. Matthew's board chair was a retired Navy captain, a man who still carried loyalty in his bones. What he did not know was that Nia volunteered in the hospital's veteran outreach program, a quiet network of nurses, doctors, former service members who looked out for one another. When she brushed that small silver pin again, she was not only signaling Isaiah, she was sending a message through a private app used by the outreach team. Within minutes, a photo taken by another traveler reached the board chair's phone. The image showed the CEO speaking sharply to a one-armed commander beneath the hospital's name. The board chair read the short caption, "Is this how we represent honor?" Back in the terminal. Tension thickened. The CEO's phone buzzed. He glanced down. His expression changed. Isaiah noticed. Nia noticed. Message was brief. Call me now. Authority can feel strong, but it is fragile when truth enters the room. The CEO looked up, trying to regain composure. There seems to be a misunderstanding, he began. Isaiah finally spoke, his voice low and steady. I did not ask for special treatment. I asked for space to sit without pain. The simplicity of the statement landed heavier than any argument. Nia felt her chest tighten. Silence is not weakness, she said softly. Sometimes it is strength under control. That line hung in the air, simple and powerful. The gate agent, who had been watching with growing discomfort, stepped forward. Commander Cole, we would be honored to board you first. A shift moved through the crowd, like a quiet wave. An elderly man removed his hat. A young woman wiped at her eyes. The CEO's phone buzzed again. Emergency board meeting. Effective immediately, he swallowed, his confidence drained, replaced by something colder. Consequences. Isaiah adjusted his bag with one hand. He did not smile. He did not gloat. He simply nodded and walked toward the gate. As he passed Nia, their eyes met. No words were needed. In that look was shared history, shared loss, shared understanding. He moved down the jet bridge slowly but steady. Behind him, something unexpected happened. One by one, passengers stood. No announcement. No command. They simply rose to their feet. A silent line of respect. The CEO remained near the gate, staring at his phone as more messages arrived. News of the confrontation had begun to spread. A short video clip was already circulating. He realized too late that public image is built not on slogans, but on actions. True leadership is proven in moments no one plans for. Hours later, St. Matthew's released a statement affirming its commitment to honoring veterans and announced that leadership changes were underway. The CEO stepped down pending review, but the real victory had taken place long before any statement was written. It happened when a young nurse refused to let silence become approval. On the plane, Isaiah leaned back carefully into his seat. The cabin lights were soft. The air smelled faintly of coffee and fabric cleaner. He closed his eyes. He thought of the men whose names were etched into a memorial wall. He thought of the day he learned to button his shirt with one hand. He thought of the promise he made, to never let bitterness replace honor. He did not need recognition. He needed respect. Back at the terminal, Nia stood still for a moment after boarding finished. Her hands trembled slightly now that the tension had faded. An older woman approached. My son served," she said quietly. "Thank you." Nia nodded gently. "Honor does not shout," she replied, "stands firm." Later that night, she returned to the hospital for her shift. The halls smelled of antiseptic and clean linen. Monitors beeped in steady rhythm. She moved from room to room, adjusting blankets, checking pulses, offering calm words. She did not feel like a hero. She felt like her father would have wanted her to feel proud, steady, unafraid to stand. Because respect is not about power, it is about remembering who paid the price. If this story moved you, take a moment to reflect on the quiet battles people carry every day. Share where you are watching from and what respect means to you. Stories like this remind us that courage often speaks in whispers, not shouts. Subscribe for more stories that honor silent heroes and the strength that lives behind calm eyes.